So this was started at the Teachers Conference this year. It was part presentation and part workshop. And what you're going to be, what you've joined today is the presentation part of it. So there is going to be a reasonable amount of me talking. I'm going to try and take questions as we go at the same time, though, as well. So we have a little bit of both. And the intention is that if any of you want to follow this up with a workshop, an online workshop, at the end of in the next term, then we'll be making that one available as well. There will be a few interactions I'll be asking of you in the chat window as we go along. So again, you've all given me your first interaction, which is a smiley face. Chloe, the smiley with sunglasses is the indication of I'd like to ask a question. I'd like to open up my microphone to ask a question. Thank you very much. Now, of course, if you want to tweet as you go along, you're also just welcome to do that. Okay. Can you type? You'll also see on the emoticon palette, near the bottom, if you click on the smiley face, you'll see a set of icons. Near the bottom, you'll see a green tick and a red cross. First of all, can you just add your green ticks to show me that you can see that? Add them into the chat window. There's one from Barbara, one from Chloe, one from Rob, one from Rui, and we're just looking for one from Janet. Can't find the tick. If you click on the smiley face just above the chat window, you should find a set of icons appears there, Janet. And it's kind of the second row from the bottom, somewhat in the middle. You could also put a open a bracket, put a capital Y, and close a bracket, just like that. Put the two of them together. That would also. There you go, perfect. So we're going to put ticks and crosses for yeses and nos. Ticks or crosses if you already have a Twitter account. So Chloe's got a Twitter account, Janet has, Barbara has, Rob has. We're waiting for Rui's response here. He did have a Twitter account, but has recently deleted it, so he's still got to get a new one. So pretty much most of us here already have a Twitter account. Okay. Ticks, if you use this for personal reasons. So if you use this outside of work, Rui doesn't use it outside of work. Janet, Rob, Chloe all do. Barbara uses it mostly for professional stuff. Okay, ticks if you use it, if you use Twitter for work, for professional reasons. Rui says yes, Chloe says yes. Rob says no, it's just a personal thing. Barbara says yes, and Janet says no. So we've got a range of different reasons for why people use Twitter. Some people use it for personal reasons, some people use it for professional reasons, and sometimes that sort of crosses over a little bit between the two. Personally, I use it a little bit in both ways. I don't tend to mention what I've had for my breakfast, but I'll tend to mention some things that I've found interesting elsewhere on the internet, whether if you've found my Twitter stream, you'll find that I tweeted about a pair of glasses, a new pair of glasses that I've got, but I'll also mention sort of work-related stuff as well. So the presentation is going to cover the what's, whys, and hows of using Twitter, including for professional development, as you see on the screen there. So, I'm kicking this off with the heading of knowing the people there already, and this is a little bit of a story for where Twitter as a tool for professional development came into its own for me. Came into why do I use this for professional development? And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story here. First of all, I've got a question for you. Answers, please, in the chat window here. you'll see that I've added the word hashtag into the chat window with a symbol in front of it. We've had this at the beginning of the session as well as hashtag AP webinars. Why is the hashtag important? Answers, full text answers in the chat window, please. Let's see what you get. Doesn't matter if everybody else has responded or said something else that you've already thought about. Let's just see what you think. Why is it important? Barbara says it makes a group or a stream which you can follow. Chloe says it links the message to other posts with related content. Rui says that it builds groups around a topic. Rob talks about it being a means of communication. It builds a communication group. Janet, were you going to add anything in there as well? I think we've got plenty there as well. Got one coming from Janet. Janet says no. Fair enough. All good. So it is basically a means of aggregating content, or that's the term that is used there, or basically connecting or linking words or terms. Obviously, Twitter is primarily text-based, so if we have a particular word that we want to connect to other people with, generally we identify that with this symbol, which is referred to in different ways. It's sometimes referred to as the pound key, but it's best known in Twitter as the hashtag. And about 3 years ago, I sent out the hashtag that you'll see in the chat window there, IATEFL, and this was basically. Here's the tweet that I sent. I was informed that my proposal for a talk at IATEFL was accepted today. Here comes a first international conference appearance. Answers in the responses in the chat window. How many of you have heard of or been to IATEFL? Rui's been there, knows about it. Janet says yes. So Barbara's been to it, presented it, loved it. Rob says no. Chloe says she's heard of it, but she's not been. So if any of you can type in, what does IATEFL stand for? What does it mean for those that have not been there before? So it's a bit of a long one here. But 6 letters. International is the first one. That's right. International. What is it? International Association. Thank you, Rui. That's it. International Association. Teachers, of course. There we go. So, I'll spell this one out. The International Association for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. There we go. Thank you very much. So, the International Conference for English Teachers, basically. I tweeted this, and I got a response from some other people who had also had their proposal accepted. They were in Turkey. I had responses from Brazil. There we go. Barbara's talking about foreign language to adults. I think it's generally English as a foreign language, exactly. So it could be kids, it could be professional English language speakers, it could be conversational English. Anybody, the conference for anybody that teaches English as a foreign or second language. So basically, I started. I had my proposal accepted. I was going to be speaking at an international conference. I was very excited about this, and I mentioned it on Twitter. And this was basically what kicked off a conversation with other people. Now, it's an international conference. It's people all over the world who are going to be coming to this. And in this particular conference, there were, I don't know, 100, 150 countries represented, all coming to the UK for this particular international conference. And so I started a conversation online with other people that were just about to come to this conference as well. On the day itself, there was, on the day of the reception party, I walked into this room full of people that I'd never met before. I entered this room as a stranger. There were hundreds of people there, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't go with a friend. I didn't go with a colleague, and I didn't know anybody in the room. But after a little while, of shuffling around nervously, thinking, who's who? I don't know anyone here. A bit uncomfortable about this. They might have all had a similar sort of experience before. I started to recognize a few faces. And these were faces that I recognized from the avatars. And these are all the picture that is associated with the tweets. Long story short, as a result of this, as a result of having engaged with people already on Twitter before this conference started, I ended up in going to dinner with everybody at the end, and there was a kind of a meal with 20 people that I'd never met before. Twitter became, my Twitter account became, at the conference, became my business card. It became my notebook. It became my telephone. It became my search engine. It became my soapbox. So there are several different ways. Obviously, I'm rattling through things here, but my means of connecting with people, my means of taking notes about things that I thought were noteworthy, my means of communicating with people, of finding information, my means of talking about things that I was interested in or annoyed about, or all sorts of things. It basically allowed me to interact far more with people than I would typically do at a similar event. So, next slide coming up. What is Twitter all about? So for me, it's a social network. It's a microblogging service. Let's pause on that one a moment. What does the term microblogging mean to you? Answers in the chat room, please. I'm going to say, I realise, Barbara, this is a 20-minute webinar, so I'm already against the last 5 minutes. Blogging with limited characters, says Rui. Microblogging. Short blogs, says Janet. Very good. Very good. Tiny word or image posts to be shared with public. Very good, says Chloe. These are, so basically, real-time published content with very short very short amounts of information. You've got 140 characters in full that you can add in here. You can also use Twitter as an information network, as a communications platform. Although, of course, as some people will say as well, it's a waste of time. Twitter, I find, is the kind of thing that you either get or you don't get. You like or you don't like. And I think people make their decisions about whether they like Twitter quite quickly. Ticks and crosses in the chat room if you agree with that. Do you make your mind up about Twitter quite quickly or not? Rob's agreeing with that. Rui's agreeing with that. Chloe too. Barbara is as well, and says, but if you don't like it, do persevere. It's a very good point. Janet says it does take a time to understand what to do with it, and I think that's a fair point. Okay, let's hurtle on a bit. So for me, Twitter is a mode of communication. It's a way of communicating. We can understand it as a social network, but for me, that's what it's about. It has its own conventions, its own affordances, and by that I mean things that it enables. It has its own uses, and of course it also has its own communities as well. To tweet or not to tweet? What did I mean by that one? I'm going to rattle through this as well, as I said, because this is quite a short one. So what have we got? Benefits or advantages, rather, of Twitter. It's open. By open, it means anybody can join, for example. It's global. I can start a conversation with somebody in Brazil, in Turkey, in Australia at the same time. It's real time, so it's fast. And of course, it's mobile, so I can put it in my pocket and take it with me wherever. Obviously, at the time, Barbara, that I had this conference, there were plenty of people from Turkey, but as of this week, that may not be the case. Although we have found that lots of people have circumvented the government, the Turkish government's ban on use of Twitter as well. Disadvantages, of course, it's You could consider it to be overloaded. Some people call it inane. It's impenetrable. It means it's very, very difficult to find things. Time-consuming or too distracting. Lots and lots of reasons why people might like Twitter or might dislike it there. Barbara, is it all right? Can you put a tick or a cross in the chat window if you're all happy to spend another 5 minutes on this as well? So I know this is a short one. Rob says yes. Barbara says yes. Chloe, Janet, and Rui. Everybody else is happy for another 5 minutes. Great. Okay. So, what is a tweet? Anatomy of a tweet here. So at the bottom of your screen you will find a series of annotation tools. I would like you to the second one, let me see, let's test this one out. Okay, so the second tool is a box with a dotted line around it. I would just like you to click on that box around the dotted line. You've seen that I've typed the word hi onto the slide. So this is how this is going to allow us to add some annotations to the slide itself. Can you all add your name at the bottom of this slide? Add your names, rather, at the bottom of the slide. There we go. Chloe's on there, Barbara's on there, Rui's on there, Janet's on there, and Rob is on there. Okay, that's great. So we've all got the use of that particular tool. In the, let me see, I'm going to give you all some numbers here. So Rob, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3. Rui, I'm going to give you 4, 5, and 6. Barbara, I'm going to give you 7, 8, and 9. Chloe, I'm going to give you 11. And Janet, I'm going to give you, I'm sorry, last one there, I'm going to give you 13. I should separate those out a little bit as well. With your annotation tool, with your text tool, take 1 or 2 of the numbers and add what you would describe or say that is about. So go up to one of your numbers on the slide, add your comments. I'll give you all a few minutes to add these up. See how many we get filled up. We've got plenty getting added in here as well. Excellent. Pretty much everybody's added something in there. Let's have a little look at what your responses are. Rob has started off at number 1 with that this is a carbon copy. Number 2 showing for the username or account. Number 3 for the name. Number 4 is showing this was Rui, showing as an image attribution. Number 5 is showing as the date tweeted. Number 6 is showing us the opportunity to retweet, perhaps. Barbara at number 7 is saying that an address starts with an @ Number 8 is that the URL is shortened because we only have 140 characters, that's right. And that number 9 is for a hashtag, which we've already covered. Chloe at number 10 is to what you use to send a response directly to the user who wrote the tweet. And it shows the number of times someone has seen your tweet, liked it, and redistributed it. Number 11, Janet, I should have given you 12 as well. Number 13 is what you can use for more information. Excellent, thank you all very much for that. Let's have a look at how Twitter might describe this as well. So, number 1 is the avatar. Rob, you mentioned CC. This, of course, happened to be This happens to be a tweet from Creative Commons. So if this was one of my tweets, you would see my face here as well. The actual tweeter's name is listed here. In this case, the tweeter's name and the username or handle will both be exactly the same. But you might find that they would be slightly different. I can find, number 2, my full name here is as Dom Pates, but it'd be all as one word in the actual handle. It's worth bearing in mind you can put spaces in for number 2, and it's better to not have spaces, just to save characters in number 3. The actual body of the text here is listed in number 4. The time and or date of the tweet is number 5. We've already said whether the little icon in the top right corner, whether something has been retweeted. If you could type your answers into the chat window for what is a retweet as we go. Mention of another Twitter user, says this was Barbara's one. So again, it's preceded with an @ and again, this is a way of communicating with other users across Twitter. And of course, that a URL has been shortened. Again, generally, I think Twitter's generally got around this these days, where it has its own means of adding a full-length URL, where it's just shortened in there. But generally, certainly in earlier stages of Twitter, this was a means of fitting a web address within 140 characters. The hashtag, obviously, the means of replying to somebody's tweet, a retweet status showing that something has been retweeted, or showing the ability to retweet if you haven't done that. Clicking on something to favorite it, was number 12, I missed out earlier on. And more as we left for Janet, these are where you find the advanced options. So I'll leave you to find a tweet and see what those advanced options are. Barbara in the chat window has mentioned that a retweet indicates that your message or tweet has been sent to another person's followers. And Chloe mentions when you have when somebody redistributes your message so that other people's followers can also see it as well. All absolutely brilliant. There is a PDF that mentions all of those, that covers all of those as an attachment to the this particular session. If you click on the paperclip icon at the top of the chat window, you'll see the Twitter Handout AP webinar PDF, which you can download. There's some other thoughts on using Twitter that are attached to those as well. Why use it? Well, answers in the chat window, please. Over to you for this one. Why use Twitter at work? Some of you already do, some of you don't. Why use it at work? Or actually, first of all, why use it at all? Sorry, I should change my question to you there. Why use Twitter at all? Barbara says you can ask leading experts for advice. Rui says to get useful links to stuff that you can find online. Although obviously there is also the issue of too much content. Again, Rui, I think that depends on how you manage your Twitter streams. Lists are one good way that you can use for managing that as well. Rob says to inform customers. Of course, it can be used very much in a business sense there as well. It can be used as almost for advertising or marketing as well. Absolutely, Barbara agrees with that. And Chloe says for getting quick bites of information and for investigating more further as well. Excellent. Thank you all very, very much for that. Then here's a tweet from me for why use it. You can use it recreationally. I use it to chat with people when I'm on the beach, when I'm on the bus. You can use it socially. You can use it as a means of connecting with other people as well. You can use it for reporting purposes. I found that, for example, during the Japanese earthquake a few years ago, following Twitter was a much more effective means of finding out what was going on the ground than following the BBC, for example. Rob and Barbara also mentioned marketing, and we can use it for networking. Final point is why use it It's uses of Twitter for professional development. And this is kind of the last one over to you. Answers in the chat window. We've got about 2 minutes left of this session. Why use it at work? Well, we've kind of covered this already, actually. So let's have a look at this. We can use it for connecting with other people professionally. We can use it for accessing and exchanging information. Again, this is something that you've mentioned already. We can use it for building networks, and networks, these are obviously quite loose, and I think it doesn't really matter what area, what profession you're in. Obviously, Rob is joining us as IT help desk manager. Barbara is joining us as e-learning coordinator. We have APs joining us. We have teachers on this session as well. All of these particular respective professions will have their own means of connecting over Twitter as well. We can use it for event back channels. Now, there's a question for you. Answers in the chat window. What do I mean by an event back channel? Any ideas there? Getting something coming in from Barbara as well. And I've got 2 or more people. Excellent. Okay, so this is when we've got a plenary. This is particularly in a conference, a room full of hundreds of people. This is a way of giving questions, comments during that particular speech, if you like. Chloe talks about a way of instantly feeding back comments or reflections during an event. Exactly. Barbara points out that listeners at a conference are no longer passive. Perfect. So we have a means of another communications channel. Janet talks about people talking about what is going on at the event as it is happening. And Rui talks about live interactions happening online while the talk is actually taking place. You're all absolutely right. The last one is we're talking about hashtagged chats. Has anybody heard of a hashtagged chat before? Ticks or crosses in the chat window if you have heard of a hashtagged chat. Janet has, Rob hasn't, Barbara has. ELT chat, that's the one I'm going to mention. Rui and Chloe all have as well. So ELT chat, as you can see there. So this is one where, as we mentioned earlier on at the beginning of the session, a hashtag is basically a word that people can all congregate around within the same Twitter stream. So ELT chat is a particular one. This one comes from the English language teaching profession, where English language teachers gather together and include this particular hashtag during at any particular time in any conversation that they have. You can then run a search for that particular hashtag and you'll find live chat, it's like a live conversation with people around the world wherever they are. The Guardian, Barbara, runs their own hashtagged chats as well, is that right? She also mentions HE chat, that would be the one aggregated by the Guardian. Again, so in this particular case, we included AP webinars as the hashtag chat here as well. Janet, great. There's a math chat as well. That's good. So there's going to be, in lots of different industries, there will probably already be their own hashtagged chats there as well. So again, it's a means for using a particular point in time and a particular word to bring people together for a particular reason, a particular communicative purpose as well. I think eltchat.com, I think, you'll find that gets used for bringing together all of the particular topics that people talk about and the particular resources that people refer to during this as well. So it's a good means of staying on top of what is covered during that particular one. So that's kind of the end of my conversation. I ended up being a lot more than 20 minutes, so my apologies once again for that. So once again, I missed my objective of sticking to time on that. But I'm going to open it out to conversation, to questions before we end. So I'll say let's take another few minutes for any other conversation, any other questions. Type your question in the chat window if you want to, or put a smiley face chat if you want to open your mic and speak your questions to everybody as well. If not, I'll just thank you all for your time and end the recording. Big smile from Barbara there. So Rui says that this is very clear. Thank you very much. I hope so. Maybe you'll try again with Twitter. Absolutely, it's worth giving it a try. It does take a little while to get to grips with it and actually make it meaningful for you, I think. So that can take a little while as well. Barbara has asked, can you give us examples of how how I personally use Twitter for professional development? Excellent. I'll take that in just a moment as I look at some of the others. We've got a couple of thanks through as well. Janet's going to give it another try as well. Brilliant. How do I use it for professional development? I think really the examples that I've used there are I've got to try and sort of think in real time now as well, rather than just relying on prepared responses now. Obviously, the conference was one particular example, but no problem, Barbara. But I think generally connections there. I was on a training course today on how to deliver better live online learning sessions, such as something like this. Simply the means of instantly exchanging effectively a business card with somebody. Let me in the chat window, there's my Twitter handle. Simply just exchanging Twitter handles with somebody as a quick means of, like a business card, as I said. That was one particular example of how I use Twitter for professional development today. I made a connection with a couple of people one at the Learning and Performance Institute, and another consultant for leadership development, something like that. So just that sort of lightweight means of connecting. Okay, folks, I think that's going to be it for now. Before we start rattling into twice as long in your time. So I'm going to thank you all very much for your time today. And like I said, if hopefully we'll be able to fit this in as a workshop within the next term as well. So do please let me know. Barbara is going to be sending the recording of this, the slides that we included, and the handout round at the end as well. And do feel free to tweet me. I generally respond relatively quickly on here as well. Chloe's looking forward to discovering a little more on Twitter as well. I'm glad to see that it's encouraged some of you to take another look here as well. Barbara's off, and Rui's going to give it another go. Thank you all very much, and see you again soon. Once you have finished, then you can end the session by clicking on the leave call icon above everybody's names.